I should have never married a black woman. I should have known this baby wasn't mine. The words hung in the air like poison. Alana stood frozen in the master bedroom, the silk robe she wore clinging to her body like armor, barely hiding her trembling hands. Her husband, Richard Aldrich, the same man who once knelt beneath twinkling fairy lights and promised her the world, now paced in front of her like a madman. Shirt half-buttoned, drink in hand, and eyes full of venom. He wasn't always like this. Or maybe he was, and she just didn't want to see it. 2 years ago, Richard was the dream. Tall, silver-tongued, and powerful, heir to a billion-dollar real estate empire. When they met at a charity gala in Manhattan, he was magnetic. Alana, a poised and brilliant nonprofit attorney, had no reason to doubt his charm. His proposal came fast, lavish, public. He said marrying her would change the face of the family. Said it like it was revolutionary. Now he spat it like it was a mistake. You think I don't see it? He snarled, circling her like prey. All your little smiles. Those damn prenatal yoga classes. The black instructor. What's his name? Huh? Is he the one? Alana inhaled deeply, keeping her posture upright despite the twisting pain in her belly and heart. His name is Dante, she replied evenly. He's gay. And married. Oh, convenient, Richard hissed, swaying slightly. Everyone's gay when they get caught. She didn't flinch. She couldn't. If she showed weakness, he'd pounce. The irony wasn't lost on her. How a man born into endless privilege now stood accusing his pregnant wife of infidelity. Not because of evidence, but because the melanin in her skin now looked like a threat in their unborn child. He was spiraling, but she had seen it coming. It started after the 3rd month of pregnancy. Subtle at first comments about her body changing, the food she craved, her emotional outbursts. Then came the isolation. Her phone calls were monitored, her outings questioned. His concern turned controlling. When she asked to visit her mother in Atlanta, he said she was too fragile to travel. When she insisted on attending a work seminar, he reminded her, "You don't need to work anymore, sweetheart. I've got you now." That phrase, "I've got you now," haunted her. Still she tried, for the sake of the child, for the marriage, for the dream. But tonight, something in his voice broke the last fragile thread. "You think I'm gonna raise some random bastard's kid?" He sneered, stepping closer. "You think I'll let you ruin me with this?" She raised her head. Her voice was calm, clear, calculated. "I think you've already ruined yourself, Richard." That stopped him for a moment. He blinked, confused, and she used the pause to step past him. Her hand grazed the nightstand as if by accident, fingers brushing against her hidden phone, recording everything. Down the hall, the house seemed impossibly quiet. No staff, no movement, just tension and silence, thick like smoke. In the corner of the bedroom, something glinted. She walked to it slowly, crouching to retrieve the object. A small, black pinhole camera, hidden beneath the armchair, facing the bed. She turned to him, holding it up. He froze. "You've been watching me?" she asked. Richard said nothing. "You put this in my room?" Still silence. A smile, small and sharp, crept across her lips. "Thank you," she whispered, slipping the camera into her robe pocket. "That's all I needed." As Richard's face twisted in rage, Alana stepped into the hallway, pulled out her phone, and pressed send. Richard's voice echoed down the grand hallway behind her. "Alana, get back here." But she didn't stop walking. Barefoot, belly heavy, phone clutched tight in one hand. She moved like a ghost through the marble-floored mansion. The email she'd just sent was already in the inbox of her attorney, and copied to her therapist, her mother, and a journalist friend she hadn't spoken to in months. Everything was documented. Every word, every threat, every step of her backup plan was now in motion. But the night wasn't over. "Are you even hearing me?" Richard bellowed, storming after her. "You think you're gonna run to the cops? To the press? You think they'll believe a hormonal lying?" She spun around. "Finish that sentence, Richard," she said coolly. He stopped, his face contorted, caught between fury and fear. There was something terrifying in how calm she had become, how composed, like she knew something he didn't, and she did. "I'm not going to the cops. Not yet," she said, her voice low, nearly a whisper. "You want a DNA test? Fine, let's do it. I'll even drive us." That threw him. "You're agreeing?" "Yes," she nodded. "Because what you find out might just end you." Richard blinked, trying to recalibrate. What the hell does that mean? But Alana was already walking again, toward the kitchen, where she knew the cameras caught everything. "You want to know who this baby belongs to?" she called over her shoulder. "Let's test it. Let's expose everything." He didn't follow her this time. He stood there in the hall, breathing heavily, knuckles white at his sides. He couldn't see it yet, but she had already flipped the script. Later that night, after the fire had cooled and the silence returned, Richard re-entered their shared bedroom. Alana sat on the edge of the bed, lotioning her stomach in slow, careful circles. She looked at peace, radiant even. He hated that. "You meant it?" he asked. She nodded. "Yes, I already scheduled the test. Tomorrow." He narrowed his eyes. "And if it's not mine?" She looked up. "Then you leave, quietly, and I raise this child alone." He snorted. "That won't happen. I'll destroy you. You think I care about public image? I built mine from scratch." "No," she said softly. "You inherited it, like everything else." That cut deep, and she saw it land. Richard stepped back, studying her. "You're hiding something," he muttered. "What is it?" Alana only smiled. "You'll find out soon enough." The next morning, the tension was suffocating. They barely spoke during the drive to the lab. The test was quick: mouth swabs, forms, silence. Richard insisted on using a private facility, one he had used for corporate paternity claims before. He didn't trust hospitals. Alana didn't care. She already had her results. Not from the lab, but from her truth. Later that evening, while Richard poured himself his second glass of scotch, Alana walked into his home office with a folded paper in her hand. He looked up. "What's that?" She laid it gently on his desk. A birth certificate. Not hers. Not their child's. His. "You were adopted, Richard," she said quietly. He laughed bitterly. "That's not true. My parents raised you." "Yes, but biologically." She leaned in. "Your birth father's name is Elijah Monroe. He was black, a jazz musician. Your mother gave you up when her family found out." He stared at the paper like it might catch fire. "No." Alana stepped back, calm and unshaken. "This baby you hate? He's yours, Richard. And your bloodline is exactly what you've tried to erase." Richard stands up suddenly, eyes wild. "You think you can blackmail me with this?" Alana lifts her phone and says, "Not blackmail, Richard. Just confirmation." Then her phone buzzes. A text from the lab. "Results are in." Richard's face twisted into something monstrous as he lunged forward, snatching the phone from Alana's hand. "Give me that." But she didn't flinch. The screen had already locked. "You're done, Richard," she said, her voice a blend of exhaustion and power. "You don't even know who you are, but you thought you could define me?" He ignored her, typing in his usual password. "Wrong. Again. Wrong. Again." "You changed it," he growled. "Of course I did." He hurled the phone across the room. It hit the bookshelf with a loud crack and fell to the floor, screen shattered but still glowing faintly. The text notification blinked again. "Lab results available, tap to view." Richard stormed to the bar in the corner of the office and poured himself another glass of scotch, his hands visibly trembling. Alana remained where she stood, still as stone. "You think this changes anything?" he barked. "Some dusty birth certificate and a mouth swab?" "Yes," she replied, "because now I have proof that our son is yours, and that you, despite all your racist delusions, carry the very blood you try to erase." Richard downed the drink in one brutal gulp. "You don't get it, do you?" he said through gritted teeth. "This will destroy my family, my name, my legacy." Alana stepped closer. Then maybe your legacy was built on a lie. The silence that followed was electric. The kind that comes before a storm. Richard stared into his glass, then spoke, almost whispering. If this gets out, my father will cut me off. The board will vote me out. Do you understand what you're doing? Yes, she said. I'm saving myself. And our son. Suddenly, Richard slammed the glass down, shards of crystal flying across the desk. I should have had you watched from the beginning, he muttered. I should have never trusted you. You didn't, Alana corrected. You married me as a trophy, something to parade for press, for business. But you never saw me as your equal. He laughed bitterly. You were a project. And now you think you can take me down with some petty stunt. Alana's eyes flared. This isn't a stunt. It's survival. You threatened to kill me, Richard. His face hardened, but she didn't stop. You told me this baby wasn't yours. You planted cameras. You tried to isolate me, gaslight me. And now that I've taken control of the narrative, you're panicking. Richard's voice dropped to a chilling tone. If you leak this, if a single reporter shows up at this house, you'll regret it. You want war? Fine. I don't want war, she said, holding his gaze. I want peace. But I'm not afraid of war anymore. Just then, the phone buzzed again from the floor. Richard picked it up, jaw clenched, and tapped the screen. The lab's portal opened. He scrolled. Stopped. Read the words again. Probability of paternity. 99.999%. Confirmed biological father Richard Aldrich. His hand dropped to his side. Silence. Defeat hung on his shoulders like a heavy coat. Alana watched him, calm, steady. Her child shifted inside her, almost in solidarity. So now you know, she whispered. What are you going to do? He turned slowly, eyes glazed. You think this is over? You think this makes you win? No, she said. But it makes you guilty. And I have everything on record. Richard steps forward again. But this time his hand dips behind the desk. You want to play games, Alana? He mutters. She takes a step back, noticing the glint of metal in his grip. And then, she presses the emergency button on her necklace. Alana's fingers pressed hard against the small black pendant on her necklace. A gift from her mother, but more importantly, a hidden emergency alert button synced to her phone. She had it installed 6 months ago when Richard first raised his voice. Now it pulsed twice beneath her touch. Activated. Richard didn't notice. His eyes were locked on her, wild and burning. His right hand now fully behind the desk. Tell me what you sent, he said slowly. To who? Right now. Alana stood still, heart pounding. I told you, she said, keeping her voice steady. Everything is already sent. The video, the threats, the adoption documents, the paternity proof. Liar, he shouted, his voice cracking under the weight of desperation. You're bluffing. He pulled his hand out, and there it was, a sleek silver pistol, not aimed yet, but visible. Alana's breath hitched, but she didn't move. Not yet. She couldn't give him the satisfaction of fear. Put that down, she said softly. He took a step toward her, shaking now. This is what you've done, Alana, he said, motioning to the gun. You made me do this. You ruined me. She shook her head. No, Richard. You were already broken. You just thought power would hide it. Sirens, faint but growing louder, wailed in the distance. He heard them too. His face paled. You called the cops? He asked, voice cracking. No, Alana said calmly. You did when you threatened a pregnant woman with a gun. It's all on video. Audio too. He glanced toward the window. The gate camera would have caught him screaming. The hallway mic picked up the sound of glass breaking. The pistol gleamed in his hand like a confession. He was caught and he knew it. But instead of surrendering, he broke. You think they'll believe you? He said, stepping closer. You think they'll take your side over mine? I'm Richard Aldrich. No, she replied. You were. Now you're just a man with no legacy left to hide behind. The sirens grew louder. Tires screeched outside. Richard moved faster than she expected. Rushing forward, grabbing her arm with one hand, the gun pressed loosely against her side. "You're not leaving," he yelled. "You're not ruining me." The door burst open. "Drop the weapon. Hands where we can see them. Now!" 3 officers entered, guns raised, red and blue lights flooding the office. Richard froze, blinking like a man caught in a nightmare. Alana whispered, "It's over." He hesitated just for a second. But it was enough. With one swift movement, the lead officer tackled him to the ground, disarming him, pinning him down. The gun skidded across the marble floor. Alana stepped back, breathing hard, her hand instinctively cradling her stomach. "She's pregnant. Are you hurt, ma'am?" one officer asked. She shook her head. "No, just shaken. But we're okay." Richard screamed from the floor. "She's lying. This is all a setup. You'll regret this, Alana." But his voice was drowned by the click of cuffs, by the sound of control slipping from his hands, by justice. As they dragged Richard away, Alana locked eyes with him one last time. "I told you," she whispered. "This baby would expose everything." Outside, flashing lights painted the night sky. Her phone buzzed again, this time from a blocked number. A voice message. "Miss Alana, this is just the beginning. Call me. I have more on the Aldridge family. A lot more." The door clicked shut behind the officers as they hauled Richard out in cuffs, his shouts echoing down the hallway like the last gasps of a dying empire. Alana stood in the center of the office, breathing deeply, slowly, as if for the first time in months. Her phone buzzed again in her hand. She stared at the screen. One new voicemail, blocked number. With trembling fingers, she tapped to play it. "Miss Alana, this is Anthony Wells. I used to work for Richard's father. For years I've kept quiet, but after seeing what you did tonight, I want to help. There are things you don't know. Documents. Funds moved illegally. Threats silenced. Your husband didn't just inherit a legacy. He protected a criminal dynasty. Call me. It's time the world knows." Alana stared at the wall for a long moment, her heartbeat sinking with the steady thump of her child inside her. She had cracked open the Aldridge legacy, but now she saw the full structure underneath it. Rotten, powerful, and waiting to fall. Still, tonight was a victory, a necessary one, personal one. She would deal with the rest tomorrow. Later that night, wrapped in a soft robe, Alana sat on the edge of her bed with her mother, Diane, who had flown in as soon as the emergency alert triggered. Diane held her daughter's hand, rubbing it gently, eyes wet with tears of quiet pride. "You did everything right, baby," Diane whispered. "I waited too long," Alana replied. "I saw the signs, and I let him convince me it was love." "You didn't wait," her mother said firmly. "You survived. You made a plan, and you protected your child. That's strength." Alana nodded slowly, her eyes drifting to the now empty side of the bed. She didn't feel broken anymore. She felt clean, hollow in the best way, like a wound that had finally been drained. The next morning, her lawyer arrived with news. "The police have everything," she said, placing a thick file on the table. "The footage, the audio, your email chain, the adoption records, the paternity test. It's enough for a full case." "And the gun?" Alana asked. "Registered to him. The threats are on video. There's no way out for him now. Not even with the Aldridge name." Alana nodded. "Then I want to press charges. Fully. You'll be called to testify." "I'll speak," she said, loud and clear. The media circus began within 24 hours. Tech tycoon Richard Aldridge arrested in domestic assault case. The headlines read, but soon more followed. Aldridge empire tied to illegal financial operations. Whistleblower claims decades of corruption inside Aldridge Industries. The black wife who brought down a billionaire. Alana watched it all unfold from her quiet garden balcony, sipping tea, one hand on her growing belly. She wasn't hiding anymore. 3 months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. She named him Truth Elijah Monroe, a name that held legacy, defiance, and light. As she held him in the hospital room, the nurse asked gently, "Will the father be visiting?" Alana smiled, looking down at her son. "He already did," she whispered. "And now, he's exactly where he belongs." Outside, reporters continued to circle. Legal analysts debated. The Aldridge empire began to crack. But inside that hospital room, there was only peace. A black mother, her free newborn son, and the quiet triumph of truth. The end.